Howdy folks, TJ here. My first official Ask Away. I figured I'd go ahead and start answering some questions. What's funny is I said I'd start tabulating them. I'm not going to tabulate diddly squat. I'm just going to look over here on the screen because I started getting more questions than I expected. I really thought maybe there'd be 2 or 3. But there's quite a few, and some friends have asked multiple questions, so I may try to answer some of those really quick if they're on the spot ones, and then maybe come back at future videos and do more. But for now, I think, like I play my video games, I'm just going to throw myself into the lion's den rather than read it, figure out the answer, and respectively, I don't know how to say that word, to tell you the answer after thinking about it. I don't want to think about it. I'm just going to go ahead and rip out whatever comes out in my head. I think that's what makes the channel kind of fun. So let's start from the beginning. So the very first question is from my buddy Casey Nidal. Now this guy has sent me some gag gifts, things that are unmentionables in the mail, fun things like that. So I figured I'd get some questions from him. And I can't mention the unmentionables that I got, but I did make a video one time of something he sent me and it was kind of funny. So Casey, his first question was, how many different console and computers do you own? Which is a good question. Now, I've had that come up a number of times from other people just generically asking, so I think I took account before of the rough numbers. So computers, and let's just talk vintage. Because I've got modern computers here and I don't really, I need those for keeping up in the world, but they're not what I find my enjoyment from. Other than, I do enjoy my Mac Pro 2013 nuclear reactor. It is a fun little computer, and it's because I make videos on it, and since I like YouTube, I do enjoy that aspect of stuff. But most other stuff, yeah, modern computers, I could give or take them. How many different consoles and computers? So, computers, 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, any of those vintage ones that are, say, 1970s, 80s, into 90s, 35 off the top of my head of different computers. And there may be a couple of duplicates in there. For example, the 800XL and 800, I believe I've got boxed versions of each, and then I have unboxed extra, I think, of each, because the 800 I wanted to have an extra of, and the 800XL I think I luckily got in a bulk acquire of stuff. But mostly everything I only have singles of. I wish I could have doubles of everything, but that would end up taking too much space. But key ones, I try to get a secondary one, like my Odyssey 2, my first gaming system, I only own one. So that one I do need to back up, and I do need to get a voice extra one at some point, because I've only got one Odyssey 2 and one voice. The voice I have is not a boxed version. It's just a voice that has some scratches and stuff on it from age, but I'm happy to have it because I love my Odyssey 2. Consoles, games, off the top of my head, about 5. So I've got the Intellivision, the original one, and the 2 and the 3. Then I've got an Atari 2600, an Odyssey 2. I think that's it. I got my nose is about to allergies are kicking in, so I'm about to sneeze. So if I'm doing this, I could be picking, but I'm mostly just doing this. I think that's it. And I may have an extra 2600 that somehow I got in my back room. I don't remember buying it. I think that's it off the top of my head. Oh, a Nintendo Wii. I guess technically that is, no, that's not retro, right? That's 15, 16, 17 years old. So that's not even back in the 1990s. So we won't count that one. So that's it on the console. So roughly 4 to 5 consoles and 35 retro/vintage computers. Cool. How many games do you have? No idea. Intellivision, you probably know because you donated so many to me. I would say Atari 2600. I don't have many boxed games. I just received a handful of stuff that came with it. I would guess Atari 2600. I probably only have, I know you gave me some too, but I've never counted. Let's just say 20 Atari 2600 oddball cartridges, I'm guessing. Odyssey 2, I think I'm up in the 30s. Someplace 35, something like that. Odyssey 2 games. And, yeah, is anything else? Oh, Intellivision, you kind of know. So there's television that has what 100 and what's that magic number? Papa Pito, he says it 128 or whatever. I don't have that many, but I think I'm guessing in the 90s. I don't know. I've never really counted. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, okay. Allergies are really bad. Okay, so something like that. At one point, maybe I should count. I know you keep spreadsheets of everything, Casey. I don't keep spreadsheets of anything. I hate numbers. The numbers scare me. I just do taxes once a year, and that scares me enough. So I'm not a numbers guy. Even though I'm good at tracking numbers for work, I hate tracking numbers in my life in general. Yeah. And so that was Casey, too. So how many games? I said, Casey Naito, what console you wish you had and why? I wish I had my Atari Jaguar back. I sold it like 2 or 3 years ago. I had the CD mechanism also for it, so I had the Jaguar CD. And I needed the money. You know, I worked, always seems like jobs that were kind of up and down, small companies. And I think we just needed, like our well went out one year. I live up in the mountains and our well went out and it was like almost $3 grand to fix. So every time it seems like just when you're getting ahead, you get screwed over and a well goes out, a hot water heater goes out, all this, air conditioners go out, all this stuff goes out. So I think I had to sell my Jag and CD. So I wish I had that back. And I don't think I'll ever get it back. Maybe I could probably just get the Jaguar alone, but the CD is far out of reach. So yeah, that's that one. Bryce Thompson, what is your favorite Spectrum/Spectrum Next game? That's a good question. So my favorite Spectrum, if that was part of your question, is the Spectrum Next. The second would be the Toast Rack, the Speccy 128, because that one is kind of like the last hurrah for Speccy before they moved over to Amstrad. I was going to say Amstrad. So Spectrum Next, and then the Toast Rack a close second. And game, holy crap. You know, I play lots of games, but I don't own lots of games. Maybe from the games that I own, what would be my favorite? I'm trying to go through my mind right now. Maybe Baggers in Space. I'm kind of a Jim Bagley fan. Not a fanboy, but a fan. He is one of the big reasons why I love Next. I saw him in early videos. He just seems to be a down-to-earth dude, and he's great at making games. He's got a long history of it. And Baggers in Space was a game that I was itching to get when I was buying my Speccy. So let's call it Baggers in Space. There you go. Casey Nightall again, what's your favorite Odyssey 2 game? Quest for the Ring. Even though it's too long of a game and it takes a lot of time, that was kind of like the game. But, you know, no. I'm going to change my mind. Casey Munchkin. Casey Munchkin is the game. It's my favorite game to play, but favorite one to probably own would be Quest for the Ring. Same question for Intellivision, Atari, Next, and the 2600. That's way too many. I can't think of that. I'll come back to those at a later date because Intellivision, well, Atari I can answer. The Atari, Seamus. I love Seamus, and Alternate Reality, a close second. Those are both 8-bit games, but Seamus has something. It came in a red cartridge, and those red cartridges now cost $1 bazillion, and I gave mine away to Goodwill or somebody back in the late 80s, 90s when I moved on to the ST and I met my wife. She made me get rid of everything, damn woman. No, she didn't, but I did start getting rid of stuff because I used every spare penny I could to buy our first house. So I was giving away stuff just to make room so it would be less transport of going there. I should have held on to it because a lot of the stuff's worth some good money now. Intellivision's favorite game? You know, I don't really have one. Off the top of my head, the Next I think I've just answered, and the 2600. 2600 Adventure. Yeah, I just played that one recently. Adventure is a phenomenally fun, addicting game. My buddy had an Atari 2600. I had the Odyssey 2. Another friend had an Intellivision. Another friend had a ColecoVision. And I remember wanting to always go to my buddy's house that had the 2600 to play Adventure. And he would come to my house and play Casey Munchkin. It was fun back then. Everybody had different gaming consoles, so you could all... Am I even recording this? So you could all enjoy each other's games. That's what it was all about. Family, co-op, family, friends getting together. Okay. Bryce Thompson, what computer would you recommend to somebody looking to get into retro computing? I'm going to probably say Atari. If you're in the United States, Atari... Any Atari, 400, 800, XL, XE. I'm an Atari kid in terms of computers, so I would say any of the Ataris because I think they're well made. At least the Atari 800 is a tank, and most of the other ones seem to be pretty good, all with their benefits. I would say if you're looking to buy one for upgrading and adding every new bell and whistle to, the 800 XL seems to be the most upgradable, if you want to call it that. So 800 or 800 XL. Yeah, that's what I would say for that. And if you're not in the United States and you're someplace else, if you're in UK, you would probably go with the Speccy. I mean, they sold 5 million Spectrums over there. So yeah, you would probably have a great time collecting. There's like over 10,000, there's probably 11, 12,000 games for the Speccy. It's that crazy of a platform over there. That many games on cassette. Yeah, overseas, I would say, well, UK would be the Speccy. And then other countries, I don't really know. I don't know each and every country's different platforms, but yeah, that's that. Let's see, Casey Nidal, how old were you when you got your first console? 1977. Mom and Dad got me the Odyssey 2, so I was 11. 10, 11. I was born in 66, so 10 to 11 years old. Yeah. What was the Odyssey 2, or was there a Pong? Oh, shit, I forgot Pong! Oh, I just swore, you bastard! Oh, crap! I've been saying I'm not going to swear that much. But I will, and I will repeat swearing, but I've been trying to get a little better. We did actually have a Pong, Atari Pong. When did that come out? 73. We moved to California from back east in 1971 or 72, and I seem to remember 72, 73, 74-ish having a Pong on a black and white TV. So technically Pong, Atari Pong. I'm pretty sure it was the Atari brand. So whenever that came out. Okay. Tetley, T-E-T-L-E-E, Tetley. When are you going to do some TI 99/4A videos? I know you have one. I do. I have a beige one. You know, the TI is really an interesting machine, and if I had the room, I'd be all over getting a PEB box and a gray color TI 99 and really explore it, because it is a cool computer, and it's got a cool, I like the, you know, the Timex Sinclair TS2068 has the little cartridge slot in the front, so you get that vibe from the TI 99. I would like to get actually a boxed model. That may be why I haven't delved into doing too many videos on it yet. It seems to be relatively one that you could still acquire for under $100 in a box. I'm just running out of space and room and time. Maybe someday when I have more of that, I will do more. But right now, I haven't had the... I guess I'm going after a lot of the European flair, the Spectrums, the Sword M5. They're kind of unique, and they're a little harder to get. So maybe I'm going after harder to get ones now. But I will, over time. And I do, even though I believe the beige color came out later... I heard they're a little hobbled in terms of some things that you can do or games that you can play or something. I didn't quite follow, but I guess they're not quite as open as the original gray ones. Something like that. So I need to get one of the original gray model in a box, and then I don't think I'll ever have the room for a PE. The PEB box is a big deal that has all these slots for drives and expansions. It's huge. But it looks really cool, and so if I'm going to get one, I really love to have a complete setup. So that's my story on that. Not even here, what do you have planned for your next game project? You know, to tell you the truth, I haven't even technically finished my Specky Next Game, Invasion of the Cloud People, The Next Storm. I called it a 3/4 done demo. Technically, if I didn't name it that, it could have been a complete game because I made it for that type of game that you could go in and it may take an hour or two to win, but you do, and that maybe at later times it entices you enough to bring it up and play it every once in a while. But it's not a long 100-level game that some of these games are, which are wonderful games, but I just wanted to have I like 10 to 15-minute sessions, and I don't have time to learn tons of stuff. I just want to fly around and shoot for 10, 15, 20 minutes and be done with it. So that's probably why my game's like that. So my game has 10 levels done. Technically, I could have called it done, but in my mind, I was thinking Baker's Dozen, 13. I don't know why, but I was going to make 13 levels. So technically, since I've done 10, I've left it on the table to do 3 more. I put it up on itch.io. I think there's been a total in the year and a half I put it out, or year now. I forget when I put it out. A year and a half. 160 downloads, so it's not like tons. It feels good that people even downloaded it, and about 10 or 11 folks donated towards it, which is really cool. But I don't know if it entices me enough to. Programming takes a lot of work for me. There's some maths and stuff. Like I said, I'm not big on math, but I got to really spin my wheels to do things like that, and I got to take a lot of time to probably do something. Takes me 2 days, another professional takes 10 minutes. So I'm just not quite ready there yet to do that again. It took a lot of time to do what I did. So I'm going to just say for now to maybe go back in and complete the game. No longer 3/4 done demo. It's 100% done and have 13 levels and call it a day. So that's my next one. Beyond that, I don't have anything else. I've come up with a lot of ideas in my head, but I'm not ready to go there. Maybe when the Specky Next Kickstarter 2 officially is in my hands, it will give me a new breath of fresh air to maybe dive back in. How's that? Roy Templeman. Now, he asked even more questions than Casey, so I'm not going to be able to answer all of his, and some of his were joke ones. But let's see if any of these are not joke ones. Why not more machines have blue keys? That's an inside joke. He likes computers with blue keys. He's an Aquarius lover. Not the age of Aquarius, although he's at the age of the Aquarius. He's kind of an old fart like me. I'm guessing the same age bracket, and he was probably a love child in the 60s, loving the ladies with all the nice hair, and, oh, we won't go there. We'll stop there. The wee blue keys, so that's that. How many machines do you have in your collection? I think I've just answered that. 35, roughly, without any duplicates in the mix. Nowhere near as many as he has. He has like 1,000 or something. No, I think he's, what was it, 300 you said you had, Roy? I don't know. You can post down below, but he's got a... He's like the island of misfit toys in the Christmas cartoon. He's the land of the misfit computers. His whole house. I'm surprised he's still married. His wife must want to beat him over the head with a big bread whacker thing. What do you call that? Rolling pin. He's got a lot of computers. So yeah, what was the first machine that you collected, not owned, from day one? It would have been an Atari later on. Oh boy. After I sold off all my Atari stuff in the mid-90s and felt stupid for selling it, I think I purchased an Atari TT. And I've since sold it like a dumbass. So maybe it's the Atari TT that I wish I still had. And what was your first machine that you collected? Not owned, okay. And when did you realize that you had actually started being a collector? 90s is when I started getting back into, I'm stupid. Like I said, I sold it all or gave it away for free. Like I said, the Atari 800 stuff I gave away for free. I don't even remember what I did with the Mega 2 that I had. I think I just gave everything away because back then I wasn't really into the online selling stuff. So I think I just gave a lot of it away. So I would say in the 90s, mid-90s. And I started getting into like the B-Box and the Next. Things that I couldn't buy, that were no longer being sold, that were like, oh, I wish I could have that now. And you could because they came down in price. So yeah, mid-90s. So those were Roy Templeman questions. Greg Bucci, B-U-C-C-I, Bucci? I'm going to say Bucci. Since you have so many old computers, what are some advantages do you think the classic computers had compared to modern ones? A lot less memory, a lot less capability, but the programmers for them knew how to take or learn or take advantage of each nook and cranny, like an English muffin, all those nooks and crannies that butter seeps into. They took advantage of each and everything and did things outside the box to make these games stellar, fun. And it was all fresh back then, so anything was fresh and wonderful. We had never seen it before. But nowadays, you've got gazillion terabyte gigabytes, and people get lazy. Like the rest of us, if you have something that makes life easier, you get lazier, and for some people, and typically your programs get huge and fat, and you're no longer taking advantage or trying to learn the inner workings of things to make it even better and taking advantage of that 1K that you had. Now you just got so much. So that's probably, to me, the biggest difference. So hopefully that answered your question. Matt Pilz, P-I-L-Z, what was your most expensive retro acquisition and how much did it cost? Atari Falcon, $2,500. If you are willing to divulge it. Yeah, I am. I was crazy, stupid. Many people think I'm crazy. But I had a Falcon. I sold it for considerably less. And I kicked myself like the TT in the ass. Why did I sell it? Because I've always had those jobs that I needed money for something else, and I had to sell something, and being the noble man, I sold things I didn't want to sell. So yeah, Atari Falcon would be the one. And it's a lot of money, but it's right behind me here in my office ready to play with, and it needs some time and attention soon. Any buyer's remorse afterwards? No. Seller's remorse, oh hell yeah. Buyer's remorse, I don't think I've bought anything that I go afterwards, like why? I mean, for example, let's take the Sword M5. This computer cost me quite a bit, nowhere near the Falcon money. It's unique. There's not a huge, there's like 125 members in a Facebook group for it, so it's not one of those huge people are doing all these things for it. So some people may say, why did I spend so much money on something like that? But then you have this Multi-Cart 2 by Charlie, Sir Morris, that basically had most every game you could for it, and it was achievable. It's like they only made so many things for it, you could possibly achieve being able to enjoy or play most of everything that came out for it. So, yeah, no remorse. Some people would probably find remorse, like, why did I spend so much money on something that I'm not going to use all the time? But you'll see that all my videos, I'm using most everything I own, right? I don't know how much room I'm going to have left. I'm yapping. It's already 22 minutes in, so we're going to call this at about a 30-minute video. So I've got another 8 minutes to go, and then we'll have to do another video later. So hopefully that answered that question. What was your best, cheapest free pickup? All still under Matt. I don't know if I've ever had any that have been dirt cheap. Actually, no, I should say a friend in the Bay Area, Tim, gave to me a lot of computers. He's a software guy. He calls himself a software guy, not a hardware guy. And he just, it was clogging his garage, and he said, you know, you're a hardware guy, you want this stuff. And I said, absolutely. And that's where I was introduced to the Aquarius. And in fact, the Aquarius wasn't even loaded in my FJ. He saw it at the last minute. He goes, oh, here, you want this one? And it actually dropped out of the bag it was in it onto the ground. Luckily, it didn't break. It got a little scuffed up. But that, out of everything I collected from him, is my favorite. And I got it for free. So there you go, Aquarius. That wee little blue computer keyboard that I've fallen in love with the Aquarius. Yeah, I can fall in love with more than just one thing, right? Roy Templeman, when can we see a fully kitted out VW camper as a mobile retro computer museum? Problem with me, Roy, is I'm not a mechanic, and I try to learn, and when I start something, it may take years to complete. It took me years to do a brake work on the front end only on my Volkswagen bus, and then after driving it for a little bit, I started getting a squeak from that repair that I did. I'm no mechanic, so if you're going to rely on me to have a mobile museum, I'm going to be broken down on the side of the road all the time, and the people are going to have to come visit the museum on the road all the time. I'm never going to get from point A to point B, other than if I'm on a tow truck. And I've been in a Volkswagen plenty of times being towed, so I know about that. That's Volkswagen's one of the things you get used to, having that AAA card to be towed to that place to get fixed if you're not mechanically inclined. Although I have done some roadside work before, and I got my Volkswagen single cab that I no longer sell, that I may kick myself later for selling, back on the road. But in some other instances, I've had to call a tow truck and be professionally towed. So thanks, Roy, for that wonderful question. He's got like more 5, 6, 7 in a row. I've lost count. There's more from him that I'm going to have to answer at another day. Let's end it there because I think I'm at about 30 minutes already. So hopefully you enjoyed my answers for this first little bout. It may take me, there's quite a few more questions. So over the coming weeks, I will try to answer more and come back with more answers. And I'm sure maybe there'll be more questions along the way. So hopefully you enjoyed that little bit of me answering questions about the Ask TJ. Ask away. Thanks for watching. Bye.